Hi, welcome to Carolyn Braden's Turning the Ordinary into the Extraordinary. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really cool door sign, wall hanging, a gift for one of your friends, whatever you may want it to be. It's really cool. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe, do so now. I post all kinds of DIY videos and have a lot of fun. Here are the items you need for your project. A 16-inch wooden round, I purchased mine on Amazon. A pre-made bow or some greenery, I made my own out of some 2-inch ribbon using a Bodabra. I'll do a separate video on how to do that. Turned out cute. Some thick natural rope, an assortment of paintbrushes, a paint palette, some white acrylic paint, a word of your choice, and I found the word hi as a wall hanging. It has little brackets on the back. I found this at Hobby Lobby for about $8.99. A staple gun, a screwdriver if your script sign still has brackets in it like mine. Some stain, I chose Minwax Special Walnut. Some exterior varnish. You'll also need some wood glue or a nail gun in order to get the script to attach to the wood circle. The first thing I'm going to do is take out the brackets from the word. You could repurpose these if you want to hang the rope from your circle. Now we're going to stain the wooden circle. I'm just going to dip a spongy brush into the stain and lightly brush it on. When staining, it's best to go with the grain of the wood. Don't forget about those sides. We're gonna let this dry and see what I think. If I think I like the color after one coat, then we'll just leave it at one coat. If I want it darker, I'll apply a second coat. While the wooden round dries, the first coat of stain, we're gonna go ahead and put a coat of white paint, white acrylic paint, onto the hi word. Just gonna put some on a disposable paint palette and use a disposable sponge brush and brush the white paint all over the word. So we're gonna let these two things dry for a couple of hours and then come back, and I'll probably put another coat of stain on this and definitely another coat of white paint over this. So the wooden round is completely dry, and so is the hi. I put 2 coats of the stain on this and let it dry overnight, almost 24 full hours. And there are 2 coats on this. I didn't quite get this coated all the way because I wanted it to kind of have an off-white look with a little bit of brush strokes. So that's why it's not completely perfectly covered, but that's how I wanted it. Now we are going to paint the back of it with some wood glue. I'm using this Elmer's wood glue. You can use like an air gun with an air compressor, but I was afraid that the nails that we had would go too far back into the wood circle and maybe come out the other side. So that's why I'm using the wood glue. The first thing I've done is position the letters on here exactly where I want them, and I'm gonna mark with a pencil around it just in some areas so that way I can get it back on in the exact same place after I put the glue on it. I'm going to set this aside and proceed to put glue on the back of the letter Hi. I'm going to use my disposable palette. This glue is quite thick, so you don't need a whole lot of it. That's why I'm also going to brush it on and do a thin coat. That way when I put this onto the wood circle, a whole bunch of glue does not ooze out. So just brush this glue on the entire surface of the back of the lettering. Now I'm going to position the Hi letter onto the board according to my markings from earlier. Now we lightly press on it just so it makes contact with the board all over. If you see any glue oozing out at this time, you can take your finger or a tool, a toothpick or a cotton swab or something to make sure that that glue doesn't show around the edges. You want to watch your craftsmanship to make sure it looks super nice. And now we're gonna let this sit for 24 hours. If you have something heavy to set on the top of it, just to make sure it stays completely on the wood round all the way. At this time, find something, set it on there, and let it sit overnight. The wood glue is now dry, and so now it's time to put a little bit of varnish over this because I'm gonna hang it outside. So I'm gonna clean it off, make sure that there's no glitter on it. I always seem to have glitter somewhere in the house. And we're going to use this Cabot semi-gloss spar varnish. It has UV protection, so it'll be safe from fading when hanging outside. This will yellow your project just a tiny bit, so that's just a word of warning. If you're not hanging this outside, then don't worry about this next step. So be sure you're in a well-ventilated area and wearing a mask, which I am. I'm going to use a boar bristle brush and just dip it into the varnish a little bit and start brushing it on. Be sure to go in one direction. I've got it all on now, and I'm just going through and just brushing off any areas where I might have gotten a little too much. You want this coat to be super, super, super thin. Also, don't forget to do a little coat around your edges. This is so pretty and shiny now. I'm going to need my glasses to look at it. Ooh, pretty. So the varnish is dry. It does have a little bit of a yellowish tint, but it doesn't bother me. I'm sure there's some other types of varnish out there. I just had this on hand, and I also wanted to make this protected from UV rays. So I'm just gonna go with it, and it looks good. Now it's time to attach the greenery that I picked up at Joann. It was on sale last night, and a bow that I made myself. So let's see how to attach this. I've practiced laying down the greenery in the bow, and I know where I'd like it to be. So I've taken off the long stem part of the greenery with some wire trimmers, some wire cutters, and there it goes. This will go here, and this will go here, and the bow will go here. The first thing I'm gonna do is take my staple gun and staple down the greenery. Got that in. Got that in real good, nice. Let's do the other side too. And now it's time for the beautiful bow. So we're gonna staple down the bow as well. I'm gonna turn this to face me so I can make sure I like it. I'm going to practice hanging this up really quick just to make sure I like where it's placed. I like where my bow is placed, and I'm going to use the staple gun to staple in behind the bow to make sure that the staples are covered, but the bow stays flat on the circle. So I have the bow attached now with the greenery. If you're ever not happy where you placed a staple, just take a pair of needle nose pliers and pull them right out and reposition the staples. I also thought if you would like to change out the bow with the seasons, you could just pull out the staples, put on a different bow, and then you could take this through all different seasons. But I'm trying to use a neutral bow and neutral greenery to make this something I can keep hung up year round. Now we're going to attach the rope. I had some natural rope that I had laying around the house. We're going to attach that to the back of the project. I switched up my staple gun. The first staples I was using was a 1/4 inch 6mm. They were light duty staples. For the back side, I tested out the light duty staples and the rope just slid right through them. So I switched it up to some thicker staples. These are Arrow staples, a 1/4 inch 6mm. These have some grip to them. You can see they have a serrated edge, and I tested it out, and these work much better than the light duty staples to get your rope on the back. Again, you can use some hangers, some picture hangers if you want, but this seemed to be the best option in my opinion. Position the rope on the back where you want to hang it, and you can always pull these out just in case it doesn't hang correctly. Test out to make sure that it will hang evenly. You might have to do this several times until you get it right. And place the rope down, and we'll get your fingers back and get that staple in there. I would put 3 to 4 in this and really push hard with that staple gun to make sure that they drive inside. I'm gonna go test this out to make sure that it's hanging evenly before I put more staples on. So it's complete and I love it. I ended up putting about 5 staples on each side and really making sure that they're in there and pulling on them to make sure that they're nice and tight, and they are. I even took the heavy duty staple gun and stapled a little bit more into the floral parts just to make sure that they're in there nice and tight. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, just put it in the comment section below and I'll get back with you as soon as I get a chance. Thanks for watching Carolyn Braden's Turning the Ordinary into the Extraordinary. I encourage you to be super creative with this project and let me know in the comment section if you tried it. Thanks for watching. Bye! Visit Carolyn'sBloomingCreations.com